Greetings, my fellow gamers, and welcome to the Gamer's Refuge. What is the best Fallout game ever made? Well, the answer you get is going to depend on who you ask. Some people might like Fallout 3 the best. Some might like Fallout New Vegas. Some, might really like Fallout 4. Let's not forget there was a Fallout 1 and 2, which was made by Black Isle Studios, I do believe. Before Bethesda bought it out. But I never played 1 or 2, and there's probably a lot of people out there who haven't played the first two either. I personally didn't know anything about the Fallout series until Fallout 3. So that's where I started in playing Fallout. But I've noticed something. Now, before the release of Fallout 4, when you'd ask someone, what they thought the best Fallout was, about 90 to 95% of the time, you'd hear Fallout 3. Now, since the release of Fallout 4, opinions have shifted a lot. Now, about 90% of the time, it's Fallout New Vegas. And I've seen this attitude of, fuck Bethesda, they can't do the Fallouts right, Obsidian did a far superior job and stuff, and they made it so much better, and New Vegas is the best Fallout ever. And I mean, if that's your opinion, you're certainly entitled to it. I'm not saying New Vegas was a bad game, but to me personally, even with Fallout 4 out, I'm still partial to Fallout 3 as far as being my favorite Fallout game. And like I said, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying New Vegas was a bad game. I like New Vegas. New Vegas was a really good Fallout game in my opinion. It's just, as far as the main storyline goes, I liked Fallout 3 better. But when it comes to the DLC, I like New Vegas better. I like some of their DLC better. The name of the DLC escapes my mind at the moment, but it's the one where you go to Big Mountain and you got all these little appliances that talk trash to you and stuff, and especially that damn psychotic toaster. I loved that. That toaster was like my favorite thing out of that whole DLC. It's just this psychotic little fucking toaster, and stuff. But and the little robot that zoomed around on the floor or whatever. The one that was obsessed with coffee cups. He was pretty hilarious too. I gotta say, of the Fallout DLC, that was probably my most favorite Fallout DLC of all time, was that DLC for New Vegas. But then, when Fallout 4 came out, I remember the anticipation of waiting for it. Everybody was excited. Everybody was really amped up. There was, a shit ton of hype for this game. And then when it finally released, there was a lot of disappointment. It wasn't quite what people were expecting. Some things got changed, and I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people had a major issue with, was the voice acting, for the protagonist. And, I gave it a chance. I much prefer the unvoiced protagonist myself. It kind of adds more to the role-playing experience. That way you can imagine what you want your character's voice to sound like, or whatever. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the voice protagonist in Fallout 4. Some games, a voice protagonist works very well, like The Witcher 3 is a great example. The voice protagonist in The Witcher 3, I don't think anybody could have done a better job with it. But a voice protagonist in the Fallout series, I don't think it was really such a great move. But don't get me wrong. I also like Fallout 4. I have a lot of fun playing that game. But there were certain things about it that even I was disappointed with, and I was one of those hyped up motherfuckers just sitting there waiting, going, yeah, it's almost here, can't wait, this is gonna be awesome, and it just, it was still a good game, but it wasn't what I think a lot of people were expecting. That in the settlement building, is clunky as hell. Even now, it still needs a lot of work. And the DLC coming out for Fallout 4, I think, has been, for a lot of people, very disappointing. And I think what it boils down to is a lot of people just wanted to give the middle finger to Bethesda and say, fuck everything you did. Just hand everything over to Obsidian, let them deal with it all. But now, the one thing I want to look at real quick is, now, when Obsidian did Fallout New Vegas, it's pretty much, they took Fallout 3 and it's pretty much did like a full world mod, if you will. Everything still handles, to me, everything feels kind of the same. The combat feels pretty much the same. They made some tweaks and some changes here and there. There's, I think, a couple of, there's some creatures that are specific to the desert and whatnot. And, the looks of some things did change. But essentially, they took Fallout 3 and they just kind of redid the stuff because they only had a year to get this done. I think if Obsidian was given more time, if they could have developed it from scratch, from the ground up, who knows what they could have came up with. It most certainly probably would have been even better than the finished product that they had, because they had such a tight, time schedule to get that out. But the point being is, before Fallout 4, I've seen a lot of people praising Fallout 3, as being the best Fallout. And then after Fallout 4 and all that disappointment and frustration and all that, everything kind of shifted over to New Vegas after that. That's one of the things I noticed. I mean, I could very well be wrong, but that's my observation. That's what I've seen. I think they're all good games in their own right. I think each one probably could have done things better in a lot of areas. But judging from the finished products that we as gamers received, myself, I'm still more partial to Fallout 3. But I want to hear from you. Did you notice the same thing about pre-Fallout 4, Fallout 3 getting a lot of praise, and then post Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas starting to receive all the praise? Or maybe I was just looking in the wrong places, I don't know. But that's what I noticed. That was my observations. And hey, while you're at it, down in the comments down below, let me know what your favorite Fallout game was, of the entire series. Like I said, I never played 1 or 2. I've heard, from several people that, 1 and 2 were really excellent games. I've never had the opportunity to play them. So, for me, I've done Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. So, that's pretty much my experience in the Fallout universe. So, in the comments down below, let me know if you've noticed the same thing with the whole Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas thing kind of shifting after Fallout 4. And also, let me know what your favorite Fallout game of all time is for you. And that's all I got for this one, guys. As always, I appreciate all of you taking the time to watch my videos. And until the next time, I will see you in the games.